A very good afternoon. Ladies, gentlemen, bon appetit. On my way up here, I spoke to Rickson, and Rickson was telling me this session is special. This is a session where I get to talk and you guys get to eat. All right, so, all right, now, I have 15 minutes, all right? Every speaker who come on the stage, they have a plan. What do I do with these 15 minutes? Now, I have a story to share, and then I have an approach that I want to challenge all of you, especially all the cybersecurity practitioners. And I missed your earlier session, sorry. So I missed the bad and the $10 thing, all right? I apologize. Now, but I do want to start off, this session with a quick story. Now, I want all of you to take a look at these pictures. All right, so if you look at these pictures over here, there is an egg, there is a sunset, there is a tank. All right, and my question to everyone in this room, what do all these images have in common? Come on, guys, raise your hand. You don't need a mic, and just shout to me. It's cybersecurity related to start with. It's going to be difficult, all right? But let me start by telling a short story, right? But all these are true stories. Look at the far right sunset, all right? So this story starts in year 2019. There is a real indictment report that was released by US Department of Justice, all right? Now, that is the story of General Electrics, GE. So there is this gentleman, his name is Mr. Zeng, a Chinese citizen who converted to become US citizen, and is now probably released from the US prison because the last time I read, he got a 2 years sentence, right? Now, what was very interesting with Sunset and General Electric is this story. When Mr. Zeng was working in GE, he managed to exfiltrate the blueprint of General Electric's steam turbine design by using a technique called steganography. So the art of steganography, it's about embedding information. It could be data into pictures like this, all right? And that was the sunset picture that Mr. Zeng used to send back to his brother in Asia. And then they start manufacturing the turbine with the exact spec and design, right? And they were found guilty after that. So this is publicly available information, right? Search for Zeng et al. Indictment, or just search for General Electric Sunset Data Lake, all right? So that's the word to search for. Interesting. Now, second story. If you look into the tank and the vintage cars, all right, what is the story about the tank and the vintage cars? Now, on the tank and the vintage cars, there is an Excel document with up to 10,000 customer records. First name, last name, credit card number. If anyone can see it, I'm going to buy you a beer right after this. All right, look at the tank, look at the vintage cars. Can you by any way see it? And it's so interesting, because obviously human eyes will not be able to see anything on the tank. It looks pretty high resolution to me, all right? But if you were to run this through various systems, there is also no ability to detect a lot of files and codes that it's encrypted into steganography, all right? Now the last, it's on the cute little kittens and the eggs. The cute little kittens and the eggs is interesting. There is an attempt of putting in the entire text of Pride and Prejudice, the famous novel, into the kitten, and you can send it out. But the idea is not about putting novel into images. The idea was to prove how much information can you embed into a single JPEG. And then on the egg, it was used to embed a malware into it. Had I have more time and not just 15 minutes, I would be able to show you a demonstration on how this egg, if you rename them to HTML, it will redirect you to a link that easily run a ransomware on your machine. But it was very interesting Because the very same file as JPEG, when we use it to scan through virus total, and there were tens and tens of antivirus, anti-malware scanner over there, none of them picked it up, all right? Now, this is just an idea of how malware can be very evasive and how data can be embedded on the way out. Now, I was reading a statistics from Statista, right? And the numbers were staggering. We were spending worldwide on cybersecurity a $72 billion. All right, and to my well-respected speakers earlier, it's not about throwing in another solution, buying another piece of software. I would like to sell you another piece of software. But if you think about it, 72 billion in year 2022, 71 in year 2021, and the year before was only 65 billion. This year, we'll probably hit 76, 77. How does that make all of us feel? Do we feel more secure? Do we feel that we have better control on attacks? All right, I spoke to many. I don't think that confidence is there just yet. All right. Now, what if we have been doing it all wrong? What if the approach of cybersecurity is wrong? If you look into the approach that we do today, and I'm guilty of that, coming from my company, we were looking for threats. We were looking for malware. We were looking for attacks. We were threat hunting. But then the threats by itself, it's so evasive. It's polymorphic. It changes in forms. It adapts. It changes faster than your tools is able to detect. And that is why you have the concept of zero trust. When you do zero trust, you don't worry about the attacks so much, all right? And I tell you what is the concept of that. If you look into a document like the chicken egg or like the kitten or like the tank, and you look for malware, it's unlikely you're going to find it. But if you reproduce the image in a new form, the malware can never be sent across. And the easiest way to think about this, for some of you who it's my age or above, you will remember fax machine. I would challenge you to send me a malware using fax machine. You can't. Remember? But that was safe. What does it mean? Should we conclude the session and say, guys, you know what, let's go back and buy fax machine, shut down email system. We might win that war if we go into that, extreme example. Now, let's talk about the solution, all right? The solution that we are trying to find is to these two problems. The first problem is, how do you receive information in a secure manner? And having the confidence the information that I receive is free from malware. How can I send information having the confidence that my staff is not exfiltrating anything outside, all right? To look into the receiving information, it's a mind-blowing thing, all right? And I believe there are many bankers in this room, anyone from the banks industry or finance industry, and even if you are not a banker, you will be a customer of a bank. I want you to think about the last time you apply for a loan application, a mortgage, a financing. What do you have to do? You will have to send them your income documents. You have to send them your ID. You have to send them your tax paper. Now, when you send it to them, various countries have various approach. There is a chance they have a portal that allows you to upload documents. There is a chance you send them via email. Now, my question to you, if you are the bank and you are receiving all these documents from the public, you are receiving income documents, you are receiving their ID. If you are government, imagine you are social security system, SSS, you will have to receive documents from the public. You will have to receive attachment from the public. How do you know that document is not another egg? It's not another cute kitten. It's not another malware embedded into your national ID. You never know. And then all it takes is your staff to double click into those images, all right? Now, the idea is very simple. The idea is what we call a zero trust content disarm and reconstruction. So the very simple concept of content disarm and reconstruction, it's a digital fax machine. Right? Think about a digital fax machine. So the idea here is you have unsafe digital content and you do the opposite, yeah, guys, the opposite. The opposite is this. The opposite is, in the past, we try to look for malware. So now, we don't want to look for malware. We assume there are malware inside. Zero trust approach. We look for information. We extract the information and we create a duplicate of the information on the output. It's a simple approach. If you send me a Word document and you embed anything inside, I'm not going to trust it. Imagine if I copy and paste only the word and then extract all macro, extract all codes, and I'll just give you back the same text. You will always be saved. And that is a zero trust approach, right? It's a very, very simple concept. Now, some of the advantages of doing a zero trust approach, and this is a little bit on the technology end. Now, when you do this, you don't have to trust anything. You don't have to trust the user. You don't have to trust the sender. You don't have to trust the file. You will just extract information, you transform it into a readable form, and you pass it on, all right? Now, the performance is amazing. Prior to CDR, content disarm, we used to use sandboxing. The idea of sandboxing was to put it into a virtualized machine and let the malware run. And then we study it, and then we look into it, we look for anomaly, and then when we feel it's safe, we release that document. But the resources used, the performance of it, it's not great, and the delay that it causes is too high. And make no mistake, in FORCEPOINT, we have sandboxing technology, all right? But here I am on a stage and telling you that this performs faster, and it's a lot cheaper. It's cheaper because you don't need the various RAM and CPU to create different virtual machine to basically start running all this simulation into files that you receive, right? And because of that, the ROI, it's a lot higher. It's a fairly low amount of investment that allows you to get very high security. Now, the flexibility and the performance, the CDR itself can be available as a service on the cloud, right? If you are government, obviously they may not use it, then you will realize it's available in virtual machines or just an appliance. Now, this is an approach that is trusted by major institutions. It is an approach that is used by UK National Cybersecurity Centre. And I quote Gartner. It's a very interesting quote from Gartner. Gartner, they themselves says, to protect against highly evasive attacks, you cannot rely on technology to detect malicious or suspicious entity only. You have to just assume them. All right? And then what they do is you have to apply control to all entities. So in this case, any files that come in, you create duplicates of the file. You don't look at it whether you are suspicious or not suspicious. Now, some of the use cases, how do you use zero trust content disarm and reconstruction? You can use it in secure web browsing as your users go through a proxy, for example. They can channel it through a CDR. Any files that they download will be created a duplicate copy and released to your end user. That's one way. Secure email. Every email that comes in, you can create a duplicate of the email attachment and then send to your user. Secure custom applications, purely a REST API. If you create your own application in Portal, you are a bank, you are a government, you created Portal that allows submission of files from civilians and from the public, you can do a round of CDR to create duplicate and then send it into your own environment. Now, I would just want to summarize this. I'm left with 1 minute and I promise Rickson that I'll be on time. Zero trust technology is basically used to protect inbound and outbound. Inbound from malware, outbound from data exfiltration of your internal stuff. It is highly scalable. It performs really, really quickly because it doesn't rely on threat intelligence. We don't have to search databases. It's a very dumb technology that just extract information, create duplicates, and then pass it on. Now, with that, I will end my session. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys a while in the next panel session.